Oh, hi there. I wanted to make another hockey video today, and this time around I believe I'm going to talk about Ilya Kovalchuk and his signing with the Los Angeles Kings for 3 years at about over 18 million. Usually when I make videos about this sort of stuff, I watch the Hockey Guys video beforehand, so in case I might be able to learn something that I didn't quite think of. But obviously I got my different slant on what the NHL is, and I got a different perception. If you compare my hockey videos to his, it's quite evident. Anyway, he was saying that LA picking up Ilya Kovalchuk was risky. That was also him being polite about it. Risky would not be the word I would use. I'm not too big a fan of teams bringing in players that were big names before they disappeared, or whatever, and they expect great things of them when they come back. Obviously the name they have counts for a lot. Ilya Kovalchuk, he's had a lot of successful seasons. I did say this before, I didn't like how he ran off to Russia. I mean, I'm sure he had good reasons. And also teams, franchises, they're very, very, calculating, and they know what they're doing when they make these kind of decisions. But do they tell us, common everyday fans? Absolutely not. And people go, well, Ilya Kovalchuk, he's got great skill, he probably works harder than other players. No, he doesn't. The guy has probably the same physique as many of the other, 35-year-old hockey players in the league. He's just got a bit more money behind him. And, he ran off to Russia, but before that he was with New Jersey. Had a couple, they were alright seasons, they weren't super amazing. And his last, very, very good season was 2008-2009, where he had 91 points with the Atlanta Thrashers. So that's almost 10 years ago. That's, Stone Age time in the hockey world. And the Hockey Guy did make a point of saying, look, the league's getting younger and faster and everything. And it totally is. And, if it weren't for the fact that the National Hockey League makes an absurd amount of money, the various ways they do it, I wouldn't agree with hockey players making the kind of money that they make. I mean, they have a stressful job, and, a lot of it is expected of them, and it's a great honor to make it to the NHL, but, I don't think they're worth the kind of money they're getting. That's not to be mean or anything, but I don't see Ilya Kovalchuk being worth that kind of money at this point in his career. And this isn't assuming he doesn't, pull some sort of theatrics, and, I don't know, do something. There's no guarantees. To me, what it says for the LA franchise is because when franchises pick up players, it might be because they're preparing for, a rough next few years, just based on what the current climate is like in the National Hockey League. I mean, Chicago just came off a real lousy season, and you wouldn't even think it, that, they won 3 Stanley Cups since 2010, but they were terrible. And, Patrick Kane, he put up some points, but he's had better years, obviously. And they're not very old. Jonathan Toews, Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook. They're not very old hockey players. They're younger than Ilya Kovalchuk. Well, I think Duncan Keith is. I'm not sure about that. I think he is. But yeah, Ilya Kovalchuk's coming in on a 3-year deal, and it's just well, as a National League franchise, I could see them going, well, we'll give this guy a try to come back, but, you know, sign him for 1 year. Obviously negotiations, you want a bit more, and who knows. But another thing I can guarantee you, with the kind of money that's being talked about, I don't care what the official narrative is. They're not telling you squat. There's so much that's going on that there's no internet search engine you can go to, no Facebook forum, no nothing. If you're an everyday commoner, you don't get to learn of this stuff. And anytime there's any story of any giant significance, you get the butt end of the story. And no offense, I don't like hearing the butt ends of stories. It irritates me. And I've had to put up with that on hockey forums for the longest time. And when people try to talk to me in such a simplistic narrative on how things are, it just gets irritating. And when they try filling your head with all the statistical information, things like that, if I wanted to learn about stuff like that, I'd have become a fucking accountant. I wouldn't, be interested in this. And, it's a lot different, obviously, if you're getting paid that kind of money. I'm not going to lie about that, but I'm going to say, I don't really care if a player 10 years ago had got 91 points or not. He's not going to get 91 points. It might even be as a total in the 3 years if he spends in LA. Like, who knows? Like, who knows what happened to him in Russia? I'm not saying the Russians aren't tough. They are. And that's part of their problem, is they're tough, they're mean, and actually, to be completely honest with you, Russia's a poor country. I don't know if a lot of people knew that, but yeah, they're dirt fucking poor. Like, everyone, has this ignorant opinion about the world, and it's because they haven't been there and things like that, and, some people could hurl that sort of insult at me, but I wouldn't want to go over there. Like, there's a reason why resources and things like that are allocated in certain directions. And the National Hockey League, compared to the KHL is nothing compared to the NHL. And there are a lot of really good Russian hockey players in the KHL who would really like to go to the NHL, do their bit here, make their money over here, and then go back to Russia. And, obviously we have to bring in some of their talent, but we don't really want them around if that's what they're going to do. I mean, yeah, like, a lot of Russian players have been squirrely over the years, and, some of them, a lot of them have been perfectly alright, but, it's a completely different system over there. Things just work differently. And, Ilya Kovalchuk, he had that look about him the good hockey players get when they get to the final, and it's that if they don't win the Stanley Cup right then and there, they're not going to. And Ilya Kovalchuk had that look on the New Jersey Devils. So did Zach Parise. They both had that look. It's the same thing as a Steven Stamkos look. Unfortunately, it was the same thing as a Henrik and Daniel Sedin look. It's just like, if these guys don't win it right here and now, it's not going to happen. And I knew that when San Jose was playing against Pittsburgh, obviously. Joe Thornton, way too old to be playing hockey. I don't even know why there's any conversation of them considering him being re-signed. I haven't heard otherwise, but, it's ridiculous. And, when Toronto picked up, Marlowe, it was, like, I looked at the guy and I went, this guy's not going to take him to the Stanley Cup final and hoist the Stanley Cup. It's just not going to happen. And all that is the exact same thing with Ilya Kovalchuk. Big name, going to bring some attention, but that's about it. And I don't see him having particularly successful seasons. I might get surprised, but I rather doubt it. I think they brought him in because of his name, because this is, the NHL, and there had been talk for a number of years since he left that he'd be coming back and everything. And, you know, there's just socio-economic reasons why this happened, and the NHL doesn't go into detail about anything. As a matter of fact, mainstream media, they've dumbed everything down so bad, nobody knows what's going on. So who knows, is Ilya Kovalchuk really making, you know, $18+ million, or is he getting $60 million for coming over here? Or is he just, you know, trying to get back into the NHL any way he can, because you got to take into consideration he made a lot of money over the years. He doesn't exactly have to make more money. And I say that because there becomes a time in some people's lives, you know, famous people, where money doesn't mean the same thing as it does to other people. Like, it becomes more about power and how you can live the life you want to. And obviously there are, you know, greedy tycoons who are like Mr. Burns, and they're, you know, they're gonna steal the dimes and nickels off your table if they can. But you know, you look back at those types and you go, what are you, from the Paleolithic era or what? I should have picked a better one to pronounce, like the Cretaceous or something. Would have been easier. Paleolithic era. Okay, I got it. But anyway, so with that kind of money, I think the NHL is surrounded by lies, and they're surrounded by people who enforce those lies. I don't care which type you are, whether you're the big dumb idiot who lies just because that's what you want to believe, or you lie and you know better, but you don't want anyone else thinking outside of the box. Those are the two types of liars you have when it comes to sports. And unfortunately, in North America, there are a lot of idiots running around who do not understand what sports are. Never have, and they don't think it's anything like any sports that are outside of this country. Like, I know nobody wants to compare the NHL to, you know, like cricket in Pakistan or something like that, or football in Europe and Brazil, but there's a lot of mentality and things going on that people on this continent do not understand about sports. And if you want to live in this fantasy world where everything's as dumbed down and simplistic as you want, then by all means, don't watch They Live. Don't watch it, because you'll just be wasting your time. And yeah, if you don't want to see the world for what it really is, that's perfectly fine. You keep being a dumb idiot. I'm not going to do that. And Ilya Kovalchuk, I don't think he's an idiot. But do I think he's going to hoist a Stanley Cup wearing an LA Kings jersey? Absolutely not. I think he's just going to be there, get some points, probably get traded at some point to another team where he gets tossed around with, and that's going to be it. So I don't think too highly of this trade, and you know, from what I see from the outside looking in, I don't think it's an intelligent move by the LA Kings franchise for picking him up, because a guy's name on its own is not enough reason to go after them, in my opinion. So, you know, someone else got something else to say about it, feel free to. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.